So since most of what I put on YouTube is generally nonsense, I thought it might be kind of interesting to branch into something different. And since I do appreciate films, namely older films, I thought I would talk about some of the films I've seen that I've enjoyed, and I'll maybe share some of the things I've learned from them and recommend them if you're interested in finding something good to watch. If you're anything like me, you look at the selection on Redbox these days, and most everything looks like garbage. So I'm going to go into the past and just kind of explore some interesting films to watch. And today I want to talk about High Noon. It's a 1952 Western. It stars Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly. And the story is basically about the two of them have just gotten married. And it's at that point that they find out some bad guys are coming into town. And this is an old enemy of Gary Cooper's character. And he's basically coming into the Western town to reenact some judgment and justice on Gary Cooper's character. Well, he does the right thing, decides, hey, skip the honeymoon and I'm going to get my guns and I'm going to take care of these bad guys when they show up at the High Noon, of which the film is titled. So throughout the film we have this suspense that is being built up as we are building to the High Noon, and Gary Cooper is basically spending the majority of the film going throughout the town trying to find anyone who will help him with taking a stand against these criminals. Well, as you can expect, there's a little bit of reluctance from everybody he talks to. Some people are basically just flat out cowards and they say, no, I'm not going to help you. Another guy was injured. I think he was missing an eye and he wasn't able to help out. One guy was too young. And there was another guy, it was actually Lloyd Bridges of Airplane fame. He was there. He was a very young character. And he had kind of some bitter resentment over the fact that he was never made a sheriff. So he didn't want to help either. So what's really interesting about this particular film is if you're anything like me, you watch a film and you watch for the overused tropes. And what you're expecting here is that Cooper, having gone around town asking enough people, is finally going to find someone who, although maybe they said no initially, once the bad guys show up, they'll come up and take a stand with them. You know, kind of the Han Solo formula from Star Wars, basically. All right, he got his money and he left, but you know by the end of the film, the trope's going to come to pass that he'll return and help Luke blow up the Death Star. Well, surprise, surprise, get to the big High Noon scene and nobody shows up to help poor Gary Cooper. He's on his own. So in a way I'm watching this and I did think some of the characterization was maybe a little bit generic. You know, the fact that he's got the person that's too old, the person too young, everyone's a coward and so on. And you would think if this man was the sheriff of this town for so long, he would have at least a couple guys that might stand up and say, hey, Gary, we got you back. Or, hey, I'll post myself up on a second floor, put a rifle out the window. But no. It comes to High Noon and Gary Cooper is on his own and he has to face off against the bad guys. So I will forego any spoilers from this point forward. But needless to say, the film does build up to a very exciting action scene and reaches a very good conclusion, a very satisfying one to the film. Dmitry Tiomkin did the music for this film and it is excellent, especially during that last battle scene, fight scene, whatever you want to call it. And it does build. Definitely keeps your interest, and you're wondering how this one guy can stand off against basically four baddies who are coming after him. So, again, no spoilers. You'll have to watch this for yourself. Now, High Noon is an excellent film. It's worth checking out, if only for the acting, which is excellent. Gary Cooper is a very believable, very sincere character, and you do really feel, you know, sorry for the guy. He's building up to this High Noon time frame that's coming, and his life is definitely in danger. He's just gotten married, and I don't think he wants to be dealing with these criminals. And it's also an interesting character study about the different reasons that people would or would not help defend him in this town. It was interesting. I did look the film up on the Internet Movie Database, and it describes this genre of film as man versus town, similar to the first Rambo movie. And I think that's probably a fair estimation. It's more man without the help of the town, which is really what it boils down to. But seeing how he overcomes the obstacles at the end of the film, is definitely worth checking out. For a 1950s black and white movie, it's safe to say it's okay for all ages. There wasn't really anything bad in it. So you could watch this with the whole family, and I think there's some good lessons you can learn and things that you could discuss. So thank you for paying attention, and have a good day.